is the Panic Then Process podcast, where we find ourselves somewhere between clinical and chaotic, sharing lessons that we didn't learn in our academic textbooks.
We're two MACP Yorkville graduates giving their take on the program, practicum, and all things therapy.
I'm Izzy.
And I'm Karen, and this is Panic Then Process. All right, here we go. We're back again. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 5. We're so excited to be back after Christmas break.
Oh,
Both of
yes.
us took a little time just to pause, reset, spend a little time with family, get back into our groove. And now we're here. We're ready to go.
2026, baby.
That's right. Woohoo!
Eh.
Year of the horse, I hear. That's
Oh,
right.
thank
Very
God.
exciting.
Last year was the snake. We had to shred. We had to shed a lot of things. And I
Shed
feel
and
like
shred.
we did.
You
Yeah.
betcha. Yeah, shedding and shredding.
And so, yes, this year is all about, optimism, growth, moving forward. I love
Yeah,
that for us.
absolutely. Excellent. And speaking of that, we're talking today all about doubling up on courses, how that worked, how to make that work. So, can you fill us in a little bit
Yeah.
about that? Because this is from a listener request. Is that right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So we had a listener reach out, particularly, from what we shared in our previous content about my experience having a baby during the program.
Yeah.
So she'd
My
reached
hat's off
out.
to you.
Yeah, she'd reached out and was like, I don't know, is this possible? Like, do people do this? And you see it, right? A lot of people on Facebook groups and will say like, oh, like I'm expecting, and there's a lot of curiosity. So we thought that we would kind of you know, group this whole like, can you have a baby in this while doing this program with this idea of like doubling up and what that could look like, because certainly that can show up for folks.
Yes.
Um, and the need to double up, right? Due dates and,
Yes.
you know,
Financially, all that stuff. Yep.
all the
Mm-hmm.
things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought that we would kind of tackle what this listener brought to our table with curiosity and see if it helps people.
And can I just shout out here for a second that we are so happy that some of you are actually listening to us. We were
Yes,
just
our first
talking.
email. Yes.
It's so exciting. We're so glad that we're not just here, chatting between ourselves, putting it out into the world. So
Yes.
thank you. We're glad you're here. We appreciate you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we did have a little before we started recording. We were kind of I was having a little bit of an existential crisis where I was like, is anyone actually listening to us or are we just like doing this to like hear our own voices? Which, I mean, again, I've done before and I could do
Maybe.
again.
Well, we're
But we
having fun doing
appreciate,
it.
yes, we appreciate that email that came through and that question. So here we are kind of addressing them. So
Mhm.
maybe we'll roll in, but Karen, I'll ask you on the record because I know I asked you off the record. Did you double up?
I did not. No. As I said earlier, I have mad respect for those of you that have done that, are doing that. I oh, that would have done me in. I don't
Mm,
know how. I have so much respect. I would not have been able to do that and be alive and be okay. So, yeah, no, I did not. So, on that note,
yeah.
tell me how that worked for you. How did you
Yeah,
do
for
that?
sure. So, for context, in terms of blending this with my pregnancy, because that's really why I doubled up. I
Mhm.
didn't originally have intention to double up to speed up the program. I'm using quotations here, because that just wasn't of interest to me.
Right.
But because of how my pregnancy fell, it felt like a good option. So I started in January of 2023,
Hmm.
found out that I was pregnant in October
Oh, surprise. Yeah.
of 2023. And then, right? Is that correct? How many years is the program?
I think it's about 2.5.
Yes, that would be correct. Yes. So October of 2023 found out that I was pregnant. So then had planned to double up and I was due in June of 2024. Um, so I'd planned to double up pre my delivery to allow me the summer off,
Hmm.
July, August, June, most of June, July, August, and then start my practicum in September. So I wanted all my coursework done before I delivered my baby. So October we found out, and then I planned to double up twice, and I did end up doubling up twice. I did
Wow.
that first grouping in January was a double up, and then I did it again before I went off and had my baby.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And so
Holy.
at the time, I was like, this is great. Like this is what is it super ideal? Maybe not. But would it allow me time to adjust to new motherhood? I've never had a baby before. I had no idea what it was going to be like. Would it give me time to adjust and then decide, yeah, maybe I would have to push my practicum. And I was
Mm,
open to having to do that, but I felt like I really needed time post delivering my daughter
yeah.
to have pause. So it was
Yeah.
really beneficial to me to have that option. So I'm glad that Yorkville has that option.
So when you first found out
Hmm.
that you were going to have to double up and all of
Yeah.
this stuff as
Yeah.
a surprise,
Yeah.
did you have those same feelings? Were you like, okay, this is going to be good? Because I'm really impressed at your positivity and your resilience, and you're like, yep, let's move forward.
Yeah.
That's
A hundred
amazing.
percent.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Because
Wow.
um we had been trying for some time to have our daughter.
Mm,
So it was like I had expected or hoped to be pregnant
yeah.
while still doing the program. Like that was like kind of on our radar anyway. And
Okay.
so
Yeah.
when it happened, I
Excellent.
was like, okay, good, I've got options. Like and the timeline actually worked out really well in terms of like semesters, which is again
Mm,
something that I was really thankful for. I think I finished my last paper was like June 10th and I delivered her at the end of June. So like it ended up working really well and obviously nobody can predict that in their own pregnancies and
right.
can you have a baby in the program? Like you can't predict that and it might not fall as beautifully in my
Hmm.
own opinion as it did for myself. Um, but is it possible? Sure. I would say it's possible.
Okay.
And so yeah, it was just like I just have to do this. Like, and so the listener who had reached out had also asked, like, were you working full time too? And I was. Yeah.
Oh,
So I was heavily pregnant. I was doubling up. So I was doing two classes at a time for like 4 months. And
wowzers.
actually more than that. It was till June. Well, it
Mm,
depends on because the double up was only for like 10 weeks of
mm,
the
right.
months
Yeah.
or the 5 months. Um, and I was working full time. Yeah.
Holy moly, Izzy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And on top of that, I'll say, which just makes me laugh, it's kind of funny anecdote. We had no internet in our home. So imagine trying to do a virtual online course with no internet. I had to go to
Oh
my
my
friend's house. I spent
goodness.
evenings at my friend's house, heavily pregnant, very uncomfortable, heartburn. I took my Tums and my
Oh,
water, and off I went to my friend's house and I live in a rural community. My friend lives like 20 minutes away, and I had to like
oh,
drive over there just to do some papers and some work.
oh my
And so
gosh.
the moral of that story is you make it work
Yeah.
if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And if that's what you're kind of drawn to is
Hmm.
to grow your family right now and right now feels like a good time, I do feel like it's possible to do alongside the Yorkville program.
Mm, awesome. Okay. Okay. So that's good to know, right? And a lot of flexibility. I think that really speaks to one, how you're gonna have the drive
Yes.
and the determination and make it work.
Hmm.
And at the same, and that's so important. And obviously, like you went with that and ran with it. And I'm
Hmm.
sure there were moments where it was not easy
I
at
can
all.
certainly give you a couple examples. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, I think it's important that we also take a minute to say not everybody's situation is the same, of
100%.
course.
Hmm.
And so there may be experiences out there where it's not the same, where even if they have the drive and the determination, because of XYZ, multiple other factors, it may be trickier or it may just not be the time where it works out. And that's
Hmm.
okay. Both are
Yeah.
valid. Yeah,
Hmm.
for
Yeah.
sure.
And I also think that in that stream, a couple of things I'll name as these factors, X, Y, Z, that you're talking about. I have a terrific support system. Fantastic.
Mm, hmm.
People making me lunches, people making me breakfast, my dinner, bringing it to me as I'm studying, reading, writing,
Lovely.
flexibility at work to be able to move some things around. So, friends that I could go to access their internet. So this is an important piece, right? Really
Yeah.
kind of taking note, and we talked about this in previous episodes too, taking note of the resources you have available to
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
Because even the sheer determination can't always make it
That's
happen.
right. Sometimes our reality is different. Yeah. Even
Totally.
if our determination is there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I also think the other side of that is that you can take pause in the program.
Mm.
I know that I have had um, friends, colleagues who took semesters off, right? Didn't double up. Like it wasn't like they were, kind of cramming in, doubling up to finish at the same timeline. They were, choosing for themselves, for their family, for their well-being to take one
Yeah.
course every semester off
Yeah,
or
that's
a
what I did
couple.
occasionally. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah.
Have
And
a
so
summer
that
with my kids.
flexibility is there too,
Hmm.
right? Do you want to speak to
Definitely.
your experience of that a little bit?
Yeah, well, so I love that there's a flip side of this, right? Again, that's part of why I chose Yorkville and I'm a big touter of Yorkville. I loved the program. Yes, there's things as with everything, but I really enjoyed it. And that
Mm,
was a big part of it was that flexibility piece. So for you, that doubling up was so important.
mm-hmm,
And I loved how you talked about, what helped you make sure that worked.
mm-hmm,
That other people may need the support from family and friends, the flexibility with work, that kind of stuff, right? Those are important factors that may be helpful for people.
mm-hmm,
For myself, I took off, I believe it was two classes, the part C, if I remember right, how it was,
mm-hmm.
like that last 5 week
APC.
course.
Yep.
And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I did that in the August sessions portion of the year so that my kids are still young, so that
Mm-hmm.
I could have a little bit of time with them in the summer. I was still working too, but so I was around a little bit more and able to,
Evenings, weekends.
yeah, do the
Mm-hmm.
mom thing a bit more and have some summer with them and then also get them ready for school again, all that kind of stuff. So and also just for myself, so Yorkville has those 2 weeks off in between the August semester and the September semester, which is fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very important, but it really allowed me to be more present with my family again and for myself refresh a little bit more so that when I jump back in September or whenever, I was able to be like, okay, let's do this. Let's get back to it. I can jump in. I've had a bit of a refresh. We can do all the things again and balance
Mm-hmm.
everything. So for myself, that was helpful too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that timeline, and I think too, like, because I certainly, as a type A high achiever, I toyed with it of taking the pause as opposed to doubling up, right? Taking the pause and then going back to coursework once she was born and then kind of seeing what that looks like. Um, And there is that piece of like, oh my God, like then I have to delay my graduation and then I'm
Mm,
not actually graduating. And I honestly think that like looking back, it's a drop in the bucket.
mm,
Whether you graduate in April or September or
yeah.
January, like it because it's so rolling, like if it's the time that you need to take for yourself, for your family,
Yeah.
if that's what works better than to do a double up, do that.
Yeah. Yeah, as you're speaking about that this quote, mantra, whatever it is, this line popped into my head that so often I used to use with myself during the program. And also what helped me actually jump in to say, okay, yes, I'm going to do this program in the middle of all the life things that were still happening
Mm,
was the line that the time's going to pass anyway.
mhm,
So at the end of it, you can either be done with a degree, no matter how long that takes you, or the time's going to pass anyways and you can not have it at the end. So do what you need to do, take the breaks, double up, do whatever works for you in your situation. And yeah, really, it's all the meaning we ascribe to it, right? So if we can take a step
yes.
back and just really look at it, breathe, sit curious with why it's so important to us either way,
Yeah.
and adjust accordingly, right? It
Mhm.
all is okay in the end.
And I
Yeah.
like that zoom out, really. Like, look at the big picture. You can feel so in it when you're
Mm,
going through these things. Like,
yeah.
and it's the only thing, the only path that you see. Like, zoom out.
Mhm.
Sometimes it can look different. There are other options. And
Yeah.
even just to consider those options, be like, no, you know what? I think I've made the best decision for me. Fantastic. Off you
Hmm.
go. Because I will also say that as I don't know, just who I am, and I don't even know if I could like name a characteristic that describes this, but like there was people who told me that I shouldn't do it. And
Really?
I
That's interesting. Yeah.
resent that.
Hmm.
And I genuinely had to distance myself. Like I resented it so much, I distanced myself from these people.
Yeah.
And I think I've said this, one being my own therapist at
Hmm.
the time, right? A friend had said it, a colleague had said it, someone who had been doing the program had said it to me, and I resented that
Hmm.
because I knew that I could do it. And I
Hmm.
also knew, and I stand by this because I'm also very like intuitive person. Like I have this like sense of things. I always say like I hunted my husband down to like marry me. Like I sought him out and I was like, you will be my life partner. We met at like 17 and 18. And I was like, you will be it for me. And I was correct. So I feel
I
very
love
like this
that.
intuitive, like
Colin, you're a lucky
knowing
man.
he is a lucky man. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yeah. And we laugh about it all the time and there's just something about my knowing and I've tapped into that and I feel really proud of that. And I just knew that this timeline, yes, it would be difficult. It would be difficult to double up and it would work out the way that I wanted to.
Hmm.
And I look back now and I think it really was perfect for our family because I did my practicum when she was 2 months old. And so at that time in babyhood, they don't like want mom the way that they want mom when they become toddlers.
Mm.
Like even now as we navigate like me working evenings, like my daughter wants me. She wants me home. So that just breaks my mom heart.
Yeah.
And so at the time we didn't have that. Like I fed her, she needed the necessity. She wanted to sleep, she wanted to eat. So I
Hmm.
found time to feed her. And when I wasn't there, she was still perfectly content. She didn't have that knowing.
Hmm.
And so it ended up working out really well for our family that this is how the timeline went.
Yeah.
Right? And again, not everything you can predict, but to like consider those things too. And I
Yeah.
didn't even know that that would be the case as I was walking into it.
Yeah.
And now as I reflect, I'm like, it truly was, I mean, ideal, maybe not, but did we make lemonade out of lemons? We did.
Yeah. And you made it through, right? I had a classmate who also doubled up a course when we were doing one course. We were doing a group project together, and she was working full time. She had teenage kids and like early adolescent kids as well. And man, this woman, she, ugh, I was blown away by her and
Mm-hmm.
the capacity of her writing, the capacity isn't the right word, the caliber of her
Mm-hmm.
writing, of her participation, of her everything. I was like, man, girl, you are rocking this. I was
Mm-hmm.
so impressed. And she did it, and it was out of necessity. They were financially, she had to do this, and it was hard, and she rocked it. And
Mm-hmm.
her, I'm seriously, I've never met a person who writes as good as this woman. And I was blown away. So I hope she's out there writing still to this day. It was amazing. Um, but I there's just so much respect for that, right? Whether it's because of babies and families or financial and all the other things you have to be carrying
Mm-hmm.
to carry that capacity. And if you're able to, have the amazing marks, great. And also, if you're not, that's also okay. No one ever
Mm-hmm.
asks what your marks are when you're done, right?
Never.
Get through it, learn the stuff, get through what you need to do. That's also okay. But it's amazing, right? We can do so much more than we think we can.
Mm.
Also, if we have the structural pieces in place to allow us to do the things.
Yes. Yeah.
So, it's incredible to see.
Mm-hmm.
So you did double up. It worked
Yeah.
out beautifully for you and your family. Hard, but you did
Mm-hmm.
it. Are
Mm-hmm.
there any things you would, kind of little tidbits or nuggets of wisdom you would give to people to say, hey, these are things to think about or things that are helped me? What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of my main ones was that when I went to double up, like I really genuinely had to change the way that I did the program.
Mm.
How I showed up to do the coursework had to change because I'm a massive procrastinator. I have this like sense that diamonds are made under pressure. And so that's like a narrative that I carry in my life. I'm like, it's fine. Diamonds are made under pressure. And that's all good and dandy when you have one paper to do in a weekend. But when you have two papers to do in a weekend,
Oh, I just had a visceral body reaction of
mm,
anxiety when you mentioned that. Oh my gosh. Okay.
like
Yeah,
we're talking
continue.
like
Holy.
30 pages, right? And I would 100% leave it. You know, it's funny. I followed a group of us who worked together kind of throughout our program, and two of us massive procrastinators. The other two would have them done like weeks and weeks and weeks ahead of time, right? And so it would be like the Friday before it was due on this, and we'd be like, "Hey, like, what did you guys think about this prompt?" Or like, "How did you guys like conceptualize?" Like, yes, we could have done it weeks ago, and I know those two were working together, like to understand and have, as you do, collaborate with your
Yeah.
colleagues.
Yeah, yeah.
But it would be us like, yeah, like, what did you like the Friday night before? Um, so I had to really change what it looked like for me to double up, and like, and I like cognitively, genuinely had to change the way that I approached my coursework,
Yeah.
to be able to manage it. And for me, it was largely the papers, and it ended up I ended up coming to this mantra that, and unfortunately, I mean, this could come off weird.
Throw
But
it
I
at
do
us. We got you.
I do put a lot of pressure on myself. And so
Yeah.
like I'll be like, "Oh, I failed. I failed. It was horrible. I wrote so horribly. Like I'll be surprised if I pass." And I'll get a decent mark. So I put a lot of pressure, and I'm like a very high
Yeah.
achieving perfectionist, and so I really had to like table that part of me and like say like, okay, like what was my mantra? It was like, all I need is words on paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I got so bogged down with like what's the perfect way to say this, and like to
Hmm.
to map out the whole paper, and but really you need words on paper. Like you need the
Yeah.
word count, you need the page count. So
Yeah.
just get the words on paper and then see what happens.
And it flows as you start, right? Yeah. I don't think that's weird. I think that's that kind of perfectionist part of us
Mhm.
sometimes that pops up that really just has to do it well, really struggles with not. So,
Right.
I love that you were able to acknowledge that part of yourself. Here we go, IFS. And then,
Yes.
you
Woo!
know, move it aside and say, it's okay. I've got you. I've got this. And just
Yeah.
start. Yeah.
And that's where a lot of
Beautiful.
my procrastination came from, right? Was the
Hmm.
fear of failure, is the
Oh,
fear of not being able to like produce something well. And so if I did it to the last minute and then failed, I was like, oh, well, it's because I didn't give myself enough time,
oh man, we could do a whole
right? Oh,
episode
we
on this. I
could.
love that. Yeah.
So I really had to change into the doubling up. I really had to change it. And it just kind of became words on paper. And I just found pockets of time. Again, historically, I was so used to like setting out specific time to write it. Sometimes I took 20 minutes and I was like, yep, this like I can finish this paragraph in 20 minutes. And it
Oh,
was done. And then I was
beautiful.
on to the next paragraph, the next 20 minutes that I had to be able to do that, the inspiration, the capacity
Hmm.
to do that.
Hmm.
And sometimes, yeah, it was a Sunday afternoon thing where I was, plugging along to finish the last couple of paragraphs of a paper, but you really have to like prepare yourself in whatever way works for you for just the weight of doubling up.
Yeah.
It's the having
Yeah.
to do two things. And I will recommend, a lot of people do recommend this, is to mix up the doubling up with your 5 and your 10-week courses.
Okay.
So I did that in the first like January start. I did interventions, which is a 10-week course, with groups, which is a
Hmm.
5-week
Hmm.
course. So in the middle of interventions, I was finishing up all my group stuff, the major papers, so that the major papers were not overlapping.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a recommendation that people make. So skills is often one that people double up with. Interventions is one they double up with. Um, and then I say easier courses, but like
Well, it's a little less
assessment,
paper heavy necessary, some of those, right? Yeah.
right? Skills and interventions for sure.
Hmm.
And then I will say I did double up 5 weeks. So I also did do the opposite and just did, 5 weeks of intense two courses at once.
Holy
And that
moly.
was couples and family and the psychopathology, which was my elective.
Mhm.
And so I kind of got a taste of both. And I would definitely recommend, if you can and if you want to, doubling up the 5 and the 10
Mhm.
is feels the most sustainable.
Yeah. Okay. Anything that sticks out to you that not to do? What do you think? Or things to be really aware of?
Um, I mean, you'll see, like, if you go to the Facebook groups who are like, which courses shouldn't you double up with? And people are like,
Mm.
groups.
o-
And I did
Okay.
double up with groups. I made it through. Yes, it was pretty horrible. Just in the sense that there's a lot of um groups itself has a lot of like asynchronized having to connect
Mhm.
with your partner to come up with like these projects. If you choose to do the live option of like running a group as opposed to the asynchronized kind of
Yeah. The check-in daily stuff. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, the like the DQ style versus a live.
Yeah.
You have to do the live. Obviously, you have to be available for certain periods of time, be prepared. So there's a lot kind of that goes into that. Um, Otherwise, I feel like that's the only one that I feel really flagged about
Hmm.
in terms of because skills, although skills and interventions have their asynchronized pieces, there isn't that like you have to rely on another person.
Yes. Which can be stressful enough depending. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
And so you know the dates that you have to be like asynchronized and like I feel like that's pretty manageable personally.
Yeah.
So I don't think so in terms of like what not to do. Um I mean if people have specific questions like let me know and I can see if it's in my experience to be able
Yeah.
to do that. But um
For sure.
yeah.
And so how about because and I don't know anything about this because I didn't do this. How about the process of doubling up? Like how do you logistically go about setting this up and what courses can you do or not? Or like how do you know all this stuff?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I'm so glad you
Mm.
asked that because now I'm trying to re-jog my memory into actually how I did it. Um,
Because there's certain courses that we have to take before others,
yes.
right? If I remember
Yeah.
right, there's prereq courses. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think that, and again, fortunately, by the time I got to the end of the program, like I was my last like 5 courses maybe,
Right.
right? So most of my prereqs have been done.
Mm.
So certainly you're going to want to look at the plan and it'll indicate on each of the courses what the prerequisites are.
And when they're offered, right? If I remember right too, there used to be a whole sheet around what was offered when,
Mhm.
and what had to be taken before that prereq for each
Right.
class. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I will say, like, reach out to an advisor because
Mm-hmm.
they can really spell it out for you in a way that if that feels too overwhelming, and to me, it does, because I'm not a logistics person. I hate doing logistics stuff like that. So I would just reach out, like, get support. Like, if that's not in your
Yeah.
capacity to like figure out if that's the barrier to doing this, even though you think like, yeah, I do think it'll be beneficial, it's what I want to do, reach out, get somebody to support you in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you have to request it. So it has to go through a ticket. So you would register
Okay.
for your regular courses and then you would submit a ticket for doubling up courses,
Mm-hmm.
which from my experience and what I know of doubling up is not typically declined unless there's an issue with performance. Like if you're getting like lower grades, um, or if there's been a fail, I do believe that they would say no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just again, probably
Your best
in
interest. Yeah. Because it's
yeah,
going to
the
be that
student's best
much extra
interest.
workload. Yeah.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's what I can remember of it.
So check out the prereqs
Mhm.
and the timelines, your program plan and whatnot. And That all used to be in the, and this may have changed now because they switched over to a
Is something
new,
else.
yeah, that
All.
was all in your like my YU kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But again, your advisor will be able to help you with that if you can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
Check that out, see what would kind of work for you, what you've done, where you are in the program, and then ask your advisor, hey, if you need some
Yeah,
help. Yeah.
I would definitely recommend. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that that pretty much sums up. The other question that we had kind of related to this is, does workload maintain its difficultness or
Oh,
lack thereof? Kind of, if you're through the first trimester of the program, so you've done two of the classes, I guess,
yep.
because the first one's 10 weeks and the second one's five, and you have a feel for that, is that what you can expect for the rest of time?
Hmm.
Karen, what do you
Yeah.
think?
Well, so I did BPS and then assessments, which is kind of how it used to be set out in the program plan, if it's still the same. And
Assessments
honestly,
or ethics?
oh, sorry, no, research
Oh, research,
methods.
RM.
Did I say
Yes.
assessments?
You said assessments. Yeah,
Oh
because that
God,
is
I need
another
another
course.
coffee. No, 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 I did not do
I'm
assessments.
like,
Sorry.
really? That's
No,
weird that assessments would be so early. Wow, you just
no, oh
dive
my
right
gosh.
in.
See, this is why it's a good thing there's two of us because sometimes I speak and it's not what I'm thinking. Yeah, no.
Ditto. Ditto.
I did BPS, which is the 10-week course, if I remember right, and then
Yeah.
research methods right after,
Yeah.
which just about did me in. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh. After those two, I was like, I don't know if I can do this program.
Mm.
And I'm an adult. I graduated from my undergrad years
I'm an
ago.
adult.
I'm a fully functioning human with children and a job and things like holy
Like objectively, my life is put together.
ish, right? I mean,
Right.
ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
try to
Yeah. Yeah.
pretend I'm an adult. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was like, whoa.
Mm.
BPS was a lot, I think, just because jumping into the coursework and that new extra workload on top of your normal life, learning APA, getting back into writing after being out of my undergrad for so many years,
Mm.
getting back into researching and citing and referencing and all of that stuff and managing my time with everything else. BPS was itself the coursework fascinating, wonderful,
Yeah.
lovely. I really enjoyed it. Not necessarily like super, super intense intellectually why I say is like a research methods for me because I'm not that is not how my brain works.
Yep.
But navigating all that logistic stuff of it being new was a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
then with research methods, because of the type of course it is, I struggled with it because of the workload and because so many of the concepts, one, again, being out of my undergrad for so long, I had to jump back in and try and relearn all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really a research kind of person in terms of setting up research and, that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Love research, it's important, don't mean it that way, but
Yeah. Yeah.
that was tricky for
Mm-hmm.
me. So at the end of it, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know about this. This was a lot. And then luckily I stayed with it because the rest of the program, while some of the courses definitely, I mean, each of us will find different in intensity and difficulty because of how we are and who we are.
Mm.
Um, but you get used to the way the program's set up. So you get
Yes.
used to the workload, you get used to APA, you get used to citing and referencing and all the researching and the DQ. So I think for me, I found a rhythm and I
Mm-hmm.
found ways to make it a little bit easier. And I just fell into this like my life became school and work and my family basically, which I'm sure for many of us it does.
Yeah.
But it gets a little bit easier that way because you get more used to it, I found. Still a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but it's more manageable because you're not just jumping into it, I found. What do you think is?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the other piece that really stands out to me that to add to that is the expectation piece, right? Like when I started out, I had this
Mm,
expectation of being a certain student, and it just was not maintainable. Like I
mm-hmm.
just could not sustain it for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I skimped off, doesn't mean that I didn't learn what I could learn. It just means that I had to adjust my expectations of the grades that I was getting, of how much content I was pushing out, of this checking this perfectionist part that we've kind of been dancing around today. Um, and shifting what that looks like for ongoing courses, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm looking at my course list. We got BPS and RM, and then it looks like we went into ethics, psychodynamics, CBT. Each of those were 5 weeks. Assessments, cultural, and something, skills. Um, all of those in the middle, absolute blur to me.
Hmm.
Absolute blur.
Yeah.
Ethics, psychodynamics, CBT. I also moved at the same time. So like I don't know what I
You
was.
had all the life
And
things.
then I got pregnant and then like I don't know what to tell you
Mm.
guys. I like
It's
can't.
doable.
Yes, yeah.
Doable.
But
Yeah.
total blur to me, right? And you take the pieces that work for you and you and again that
Yeah.
it's just I come back to this expectation piece of like having to adjust what you're able to manage.
Yeah.
And that's why I say like does the difficulty of the workload maintain? I would say it's pretty similar throughout because each course brings something different. So you have to learn a different, like, not all the courses are set up the exact same. Two journal reflections, two papers, 10 DQs. Like it's not like that. So you always have to kind of adapt.
Hmm.
And that's why I think this underlying, like, managing your expectations of how you approach the work is an important piece of managing the workload. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And to speak to that, like you and I both graduated with honors.
Hmm.
Yay,
Yay.
which is awesome and totally okay either way if that doesn't happen for people.
Totally. Hmm.
But again, we both had to drop that expectation for ourselves, especially with the way Yorkville's grading system works, which
Yeah.
some of you may have figured that out already or been told about that. So, it's okay, even if you do need to drop that expectation a little bit. And done is better than perfect. Words on paper, things like that, those
Yeah.
mantras we used, you can still graduate at a place that feels good for you. And
Hmm.
also, if you graduate, awesome.
Period.
You've
Period.
graduated. You have a
Period.
graduate degree. You have a
Yeah.
master's.
Yeah.
And no one ever asks if you graduated, what your GPA was, or if you graduated with honors or distinction or whatever. No one asks.
Hmm.
No one
Yep.
cares. So
It's
it's
true.
it's all good. To speak to a little bit of that piece about different courses, I think too, depending on what field you're coming in from, what your undergrad was, certain classes and the content can be easier or more difficult for you just because of that.
Great point.
But that's so dependent on people and what your
Yes.
interest is. For example, couples and families, I found incredibly, I found it mentally and emotionally difficult
Yeah.
because you had to really go into your
Current
family
family.
history and the
Yeah.
dynamics and whatnot. And though this program does a beautiful job of making you aware of all these things in your life, which is
Yes.
good and can also be hard, there's
Yep.
a lot of self growth that happens at this program, which is beautiful. But that was difficult for me at times. And then so to write a paper on it all and analyze it all and sit and hold that part of it. And don't get me wrong, I'm very lucky. I've come from a beautiful, loving family. And also every family has stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
human beings. So some things, some courses have a different emotional capacity to them for different students.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think too, like addictions and mental health, the
Hmm.
addictions course, it's one of the electives. I couldn't do that. Addiction runs in my family. It's not an area that I ever really want to focus on. It's too close to home for me.
Hmm.
It just would not have been a good fit. And so
Yeah.
that wasn't my choice for my elective. And as you were talking about couples and family, it's funny that you should say that you had this like, it was heavy, like emotional. I actually reconnected with my dad after being estranged for like 10 years because of
Wow.
that course.
Oh my
So like
gosh, is
the
oh full body
power,
chills. Wow.
the power of like learning and like looking yourself in the mirror and like looking
Yeah.
just the insight that comes from some of these courses and you
Yeah.
find your passion. I love working with couples. I would love to work with families. It's not on my docket right now, but it will be for sure once I get a little bit more comfortable and have my competencies in place and such. But I was really inspired, so inspired that I was able to push past my own shit to get to reconnecting with my dad in a way that, yeah, are we best friends? No. Do we have the father-daughter relationship that I once wish we could have? No. Do we have a relationship that allows him to see his grandkids and for us to be a part of his life and that being the reality of what it is? Yeah. Thank
Love
you,
that.
Yorkville Couples
Wow.
and Family course for that.
Yes.
So
Oh,
there is this piece of like, you know, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was, again, heavily pregnant. It was one of the last courses I was doing. I was welcoming a new baby into the world, trying to do this
holy.
course, looking at like my pedigree and looking at like my family tree, and then knowing that I'm
All
bringing
the
a baby,
things.
all the things, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it hits people in different seasons.
Yes.
And knowing that, yeah, that can come from interventions, right?
Yeah.
Someone bringing something to you, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
shit, like you really have to be open to that, and
Yeah.
maybe that kind of speaks to some of the difficulty too, right? That adds
Mm-hmm.
a layer in some of these courses that hit home, and I can't say which ones they're going to be because they'll be different for everybody.
Yeah.
I
Thank you for
know.
sharing that. That's a
Oh,
really
I
beautiful
know. Isn't
thing.
that
I'm
wild?
serious. I've
Yeah.
got full body chills. That's so
Mm.
beautiful. I'm so so pleased for you and thank you for sharing that with us because that's such a powerful thing. I think for myself anyways, when we first enter this grad program, it's a means to an end. Yes, we want to learn. We're going to do all the coursework, do all the academic things. It's completely unexpected for me anyways, the amount of personal transitioning, life growth, self awareness, self looking, all of these things that
Mm.
happen through this program by way of how it's set up and the coursework in it. And so, what a cool experience to hear that how healing that has been, right? And
Hmm.
all of this stuff, though it can be so difficult and beautiful, makes us better humans, better
Mm.
in our relationships in our life, but also better therapists, man.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
And I think that's such a beautiful way to sum it up. And I just want to then kind of summarize what we talked about today. And this piece of you're saying, all these things that we experience in the course and all the choices that we make shape who we are as therapists. And we've talked a lot about how doubling up is possible. You can have a baby during the program. You can still work full time from my experience and, connecting with yourself and knowing, barriers and resources and such. Um, and also the other side of it too, taking that break, taking a pause if that's what ending up you need to grow your family or to recoup some of that
Yeah.
energy loss. These things inform who you are as a therapist. Not good, not bad, just fact.
Yeah.
Right? And leaning into this awareness of yourself and what you need and what's important to you and the value that drives is really kind of what we've been talking about this whole
Yeah.
time
Our humanity.
in
Hmm.
navigating the program and then beyond.
Hmm. Oh, I love that. Yes. Yes. It's kind of like a little bit of a baby steps learning stepping ground for how we will also manage life, practice, our own well-being, our client well-being, our family well-being, because how we are is so important to how well we're able to sit with and support clients, family,
Mm.
all that stuff. So
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
Any
Awesome.
any any
Good one.
lasting thoughts, Karen, as we're kind of finishing up here?
Um, my
Episode
hat's
5.
off to all of those who are able to double up and who go for it and do it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Give it a shot if you feel that you can. I love that. And also for those of us out there who know we cannot, I wouldn't have been able to do it. That's also okay. It's also okay. And we get done too.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
love it.
100%.
Yeah.
Me
How about
too.
you?
Yeah, no, I love that. I kind of want to leave it on what you just said because I am right there with you. It's good if you can and if you want to, and if that aligns with your path, and it's also great if you don't want to, and this doesn't align with your paths, and this doesn't feel like something you want to do.
Yeah.
Because I think so often we try to shape ourselves into versions um, based on influence of what's around us, and
Yeah.
there's no right or wrong way to do it.
You're good enough as you are. That's right. Hmm.
Have a baby, don't have a baby, take a pause, don't take a pause, double up, don't take it, double up.
Love it.
That's just what it is.
Absolutely. Okay. On that note,
Okay.
thanks for listening, peeps. We're so
We
glad you're here. And
we
let
hope
us
that was
know.
helpful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let us know if there's anything else you want to chat about, know about. And please spread the word. Go follow us, like us, subscribe, do all the things that we don't know you're
Share,
supposed to do. And we
share.
appreciate you. Share.
Yes.
Yes, the sharing. Yeah. I'm not good at
Sharing.
social
You gotta
media.
share. I don't know. I don't really know either. We
Thank you
just talk.
guys. We appreciate you and we'll see you soon. Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.